Ukrainian Carpathians are one of the largest natural, cultural, gastronomic, and historical gem of our great Ukraine. A lot of legends and riddles are told our Carpathians, which are closely intertwined with Ukrainian folklore and traditions. Our mountains are yearly visited by millions of tourists from all over the world. Some of them are looking for opportunities to enjoy skiing in winter. Others have a rest from the bustling cities while watching the nature of mountains and tasting delicious food of Carpathians. Carpathians have always been considered mystical mountains, whose lived history provide people with energy and knowledge. For this reason, Carpathians have always been home to people who felt the forces of nature and were close to realizing the laws under which the universe develops. Those were Molfars, witch doctors, wizards, and priests of various spiritual trance. The concept of Molfar comes from the word molfa, which means an evil action or an item possessing magical properties. What does it mean? That is, for instance, for Molfar, anything could have served as molfa, namely clothing, any stuff, a photograph, an interior item. So Molfar identifies that stuff with a related person. He thought it over and implored for as much as 9 months, and it could be intended both for healing the soul and body, either for curing or vice versa for any illness or even death. The Romanian witch doctor named Araduda came from Transylvania in the last century and has been working as Molfar in Verkhovyna, since he believed that this was the strongest energy point of Carpathians. So the points where the soul of Carpathians, or its heart, interacted both with the person's and the world's soul, as well as with the person's heart. Is there any interesting stuff about this region? There is a lot of interesting stuff, and it is known all over the world. The first thing is the painted stone. The painted stone is a megalithic sanctuary located on a mountain peak at a height of almost 1,600 meters. This sanctuary has been built by some ancient civilization. Why? Geologists say that small stones, the painted stone, has been built from where not the rocks that existed on the mountain they stand on. So they were brought from another place. This is an ancient sanctuary, and there is a legend that once Carpathians were inhabited by people called by legend as Carpathian people, and they say that the name of Carpathians originated therefrom. Those people built the sanctuary and hid some secret knowledge thereunder. While a person remains there, she will be able to feel that secret knowledge and obtain initiation by using it for the benefit of himself, herself, and other people. Thus, there is a pilgrimage to the painted stone to obtain knowledge in a mystical way, for instance, by means of a dream. That's why people often spend the night on this stone. The painted stone has a lot of petroglyphs applied from ancient times, and most of them are spider-like. It is a circle and 6 legs. There is a very interesting place at the top of the cliffs. These are 9 natural concaves, and there of them usually keep rainwater. Once they investigated such an interesting phenomenon, when by mixing water in those 3 natural concaves, one could affect climatic conditions oneself, which resulted in rain within 15 minutes. Scientific researches and expeditions keep on finding more and more petroglyphs near the stones, as well as some interesting geological faults, certain caves or rocks that have not been explored for the first time. Obtained information about the painted stone is constantly updated. Our museum has opened during our favorite and the most striking holidays in the Hutsulshchyna. That is the holiday of Ivan Kupala on the very 7th of July 2015. From ancient times, this holiday has been considered another Easter in the Hutsulshchyna, and especially in terms of magic. Why? Since it has been during Ivan Kupala that they believe that all motley grasses acquire more healing and magical power. In particular, the witch doctor named Mikhailo Nechai has always called it another Easter. Our museum contains photos of people possessing the most powerful magical skills, who were the most famous both in our country and otherwise. In particular, we may indicate a huge list of names of such people possessing magical skills. The most well-known are as follows: beginner, soothsayer, sorcerer, fortune-teller, seer, clairvoyant, planeteer, herbalist, witch doctor, and Molfar. That list may be continued. But still one may say that in the Hutsulshchyna the largest difference was between Molfar and the others. Why? Since Molfar was actually the only person referring to black magic. Thus, I would like to show you the storm knife, which is the item belonging to the famous witch doctor named Mikhailo Nechai, who was well known throughout Ukraine and otherwise. What was it made of? The storm knife was made of the blades of a handheld scythe, used for mowing in the summer. The scythe, used for mowing the field, must be broken against a very hard stone, or accidentally cut a venomous snake. It is from that very blade of such a scythe that makes something similar to a knife. Afterwards, the person who made it had to observe fasting, avoided taking food, prayed, even tried not to fall asleep. Person prays for 3 days, then takes clothes off and demonstrates the knife to 4 corners of the earth before Christmas and says, "Let the East witnesses that this knife shall be used to control the weather." 4 corners of the earth sometimes means that this knife should be complemented with heaven and earth. Afterwards, the witch doctor dresses and using the knife may cause, for instance, rain in the drought or vice versa, stop the rain, unless it threatens some natural disaster. Nechai Mikhailo Mikhailovich was born on the 24th of February, 1930 in the village of Verkhovyna in Verkhovinsky district. Mikhailo's first ability appeared in his early childhood, at the age of 8, when he accidentally stopped the bleeding. That is a wand, one of the most interesting ones, and it belongs to Molfar, Mr. Nechai. As one may see, this wand has been built under the same principles as in Hinduism, Vedic tradition, Hinduism, Jainism and Lamaism, Buddhism and shamanism of different peoples, also including North and South America. That assumes the following 3 worlds: the overworld, the Dar Alfana, and the underworld. When projected onto the person's psychosphere, they relate correspondingly to the following: superconscious, conscious, subconscious. According to Nechai, he had a wolf as a symbol of courage, an eagle as a symbol of freedom, and a snake as a symbol of wisdom. Usually the amulets in magic were differently called totems. Those were the items carried around or kept in the room where people received treatment. These are several more stones totems I would like to show. Amulets used by conjurers, Molfars. Nevertheless, these were considered stones found by conjurers in nature, but actually it requires presence of some real expert to say whether this stone is natural. All the same, these were very unusual stones, curious in appearance and even resembled animals by shape. The stone has a different shape on each side. Totem stones have been usually kept in the room where people were treated and cured. That stone is probably one of the most curious ones. I would also like to show you another very curious small stone here. This is a natural stone called thunderstone, since in another way it is called Perun stone in nature. What does a thunderstone mean? Thunderstone is a stone formed when, for instance, a thunder or lightning hits regular sandstones. After it was burnt and melted down, some black stone is formed, called thunderous. This phenomenon occurs rare in nature. It comes in various forms, different types, and has a lot of legends in Hutsulshchyna. In our country, thunderstone is even considered a healing stone. Lots of people visit the Molfar craft museum and touch that stone. Unless a person has a jinx or falls seriously sick, then while holding a stone it begins to get wet. Water appears. But if the person is healthy, the stone remains dry. Unless a person falls sick or jinxed, the stone begins to sweat and continues treatment until the stone destroys the jinx. Then the stone is dry again. Well, this photo contains some of the most famous herbalists in Verkhovyna. Alexei is to the left, Peter is to the right. Both were born in Verkhovynsky district in the village of Holovy. One may say that knowledge based on herbs is rather complicated. That knowledge has been acquired over the years and was easy to impart, since it was the only knowledge that could be imparted using records. A person could learn to do that. Other knowledge of magic has been imparted only by word of mouth. A person had to be taught. I should repeat once again that in Hutsulshchyna they learn to play jaw harp using dialectical words such as yo and yoi, since it sounds as it is pronounced. The jaw harp was Mikhailo Nechai's favorite musical instrument. In particular, a lot of famous people visited his place both from Ukraine and otherwise. Unfortunately, it happened that Nechai didn't manage to impart his skills, since the guy who wished to visit him within 3 days still got there and stabbed him in his own house. It happened on the 15th of July 2011, when a witch doctor was 81 years old. From ancient times to today, an extract of Carpathian viper in Hutsulshchyna is used as a natural antibiotic for the treatment of various diseases, as well as for cancer treatment. Sure, that witch doctors know well such extracts, their intended use and correct dosage. This is a real museum exhibit, but nevertheless, these are very significant ones that are used in Hutsulshchyna even by ordinary people. This exhibit is called Angel's Wing or Angel's Feather, since it really looks like a wing or feather. This is generally a natural anomaly, so something that is excluded from the rules of nature, and it was curious for us to learn how it was formed and why it happened so. This exhibit has also been tested. It is a well-known fact that the bark is always situated on the tree, but here the bark is situated inside, so inside the wing. Actually, it looks like inside out of a tree. The experts try to explain and assume the way it could have formed when two trees grew together. Then they were struck by thunder or lightning. It happened that the bark was formed up to the middle of the inside out of a tree. Hence one may say that this is a wing made of thunder tree. Thunder tree in Hutsulshchyna is also considered an amulet, since there is much a Hutsul belief coming from ancient times, which says thunder and lightning never hit the same place twice. By this day, one may find Hutsuls who preserve this tradition of keeping even the smallest needles from thunder trees in the house. This exhibit, aged about 200 years old, is now a museum piece and is considered our amulet. The next photo contains another powerful healer, named Poraska Sokolovska, born in the Verkhovynsky district of the village of Bukovetsky Pass. This woman learned about her gift from early childhood, and almost accidentally, when she healed a cow bitten by a snake. She put her hands to the place, and the poison slowly began to flow out. She had an extraordinary gift allowing to heal from snake bites. She also had a skill of communicating with snakes, or as they say, with vipers. Paraska Sokolovska has suffered a difficult life path in early childhood when she lost her mother. Later, her father has taken her to life with her aunt, who had 8 children at that time. She was the 9th child in the family, and since childhood liked to spend plenty of time outdoors. Paraska Sokolovska had exercised dominion over snakes. She could summon them, cast them a spell, as well as heal from snake bites. When she died, all the snakes rushed into her house, crawled from all over the area, so that people were afraid to approach when they saw them. For 3 days, the snakes have been remaining in the house and laid on Paraska. They vanished only on the 3rd day. Only then people could approach and prepare her funeral. After Paraska passed away, all 9 days in Carpathians, there was a phenomenon of simultaneous sun and rain. This photo shows the most powerful magician. In ancient times, namely in the 1900s, he was called Atamanuk Andrei Dmitrich. They also called him Goy. Why did they call him the most powerful one? Since this was the only one person who could tell in advance the purpose of a person's visit. He felt human energy already from a distance. This person actually knew how to heal. That's why a lot of people from all over Europe visited Verkhovyna for healing. He is also considered a teacher of a famous old man, Nechai, who was a Molfar. Nechai told that it was from Goya that he taught. Another sacred place is the Ternoshorska Lada. It's a sanctuary. Most scientists assume that this sanctuary is ancient Slavic and dedicated to Lada the goddess. Still, there are researchers who think that these are more ancient sanctuaries that appeared even before the Slavs with their Vedic teachings came. They even suppose it's a Cro-Magnon sanctuary. Why is it called Ternoshorska Lada? Since the central anthropomorphic figure of this sanctuary represents a pregnant woman carved out of stone, the goddess of fertility. There are another several stone sculptures nearby. There is a pangolin with a lion's head. There is a clearly visible stone similar to an ancient Slavic god, Veles, which is a bronze stone. There are also some ancient Slavic gods and goddesses. But the main figure in this sanctuary is Lada. The sanctuary is foundational, since there is a circle around the sanctuary symbolizing the sky of stars and horizon. The sanctuary has a very strong energy. For instance, when a woman cannot get pregnant, she visits the sanctuary of Lada. A person fails doing business, but after a visit, the business goes better. A person doesn't know how to make fate more fortunate, but after visiting Lada, it becomes that way. Ternoshorska Lada gives the visiting person an understanding of the universe. The sanctuary is also being studied, whereas a lot of scientists have their own hypotheses. Most of them have not yet been confirmed, but studies are in progress. And soon, we shall obtain a lot of new information from studying this megalithic sanctuary. The Chernogorsky Guk waterfall is located near the megalithic sanctuary of Ternoshorska Lada. For all peoples living in the mountains, the waterfalls are generally considered places radiating very strong energy.